Did you know that this sign on your seventh house is kind of the same as your Venus? As in, like, the seventh house is kind of similar to Venus. So, like, the sign that's on your descendant is kind of like a pseudo Venus sign. So is the second house. But today I want to talk about the seventh house. I think there's a lot of assumptions and misconceptions about people's ascendant and that it's like similar to a sun sign, but it's not. Not at all. You can see this literally by the sign that's on the cusp of each house. I know. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Whatever is on your ascendant, in this case it's Aquarius, the seventh house or the descendant in Placidus house system, whatever's opposite the ascendant is the descendant. So if you're an Aquarius ascendant, the opposite of Aquarius is Leo. So Aquarius ascendants actually look a lot more like Leos in their close personal relationships, especially their romantic relationships. You think you're going to get Aquarius rising out of your boyfriend, girlfriend? No, you're going to get Leo. You're going to get Leo energy from them. This is part 2 to this series, so I'm going to start with Libra risings. Libra risings have Aries on the descendant. So while Libra risings are usually very polite, very non-confrontational, very diplomatic in romantic relationships, they're very intense, passionate, very direct, very authentic, very assertive. They know what they want. They can also be a little bit selfish. They're a lot more physical and a lot less cerebral. They're just kind of like simple, straight to the point. They can be quite emotional, very reactive, very impulsive. Like I said, they know what they want and they're gonna jump on it. They can also be rather simplistic and kind of like overly simplistic sometimes, a little dogmatic, like if it ain't this way, I ain't about it. Or you better be this way or that way. Or if you do this, that means this, and there's no other way. You're going to see a lot of boldness, a lot of fieriness from them in relationships that you wouldn't otherwise see. If you are a Scorpio ascendant, you have Taurus on the descendant. Despite their intense and brooding and sort of suspicious nature in relationships, they're really sweet and simple. They don't want it complicated. Their whole life is complicated. It's going to be very much more like what you see is what you get. They're going to be a bit more materialistic, a bit more physical in their relationships, so they're going to be valuing, like, the beauty of the person a little bit more, or, like, just the simplicity about the person a little bit more, the values of the person a little bit more, rather than the spirituality or the emotional intensity. They're not going to be as psychological or conniving. They're just going to, again, what you see is what you get. They might be a bit more passive-aggressive. Now, these characteristics won't be true of all of these descendants, because also look at the other planets in the 7th house, but just know that if there's nothing in the 7th house, Scorpio rising might be a bit more passive aggressive. They're going to be a lot less changeable. Like, Scorpio's a sign of transformation. In relationships, they're going to be a lot more stable and a lot more committed, a lot less like mysterious. They're going to be way more predictable. Also going to be a little bit more leaning towards chivalrous and traditional. Their priority is comfort and support. They're also not going to be quite as enmeshed. They're going to be a little bit more like independent, a little bit more like self-sustaining, so they're gonna need a little bit of space. They need to have their own things, you know, like they're just kind of content and they don't want to be bothered constantly. Sagittarius risings have Gemini on the descendant. Whereas Sagittarius is very carefree, Gemini is very hands-on, very integrated. They're going to be very curious about all the little details of their partner, especially about their social life, what they think, what they have to say. They need communication in relationships. They really crave a friendship connection with their partners and a psychological connection as well. That intellectual, like, they want to be met on an intellectual level. They care about your experience as much as they do their own. Very diplomatic and considerate. They may even be a bit like neurotic in relationships. Likely a little indecisive. They may say one thing and then later they say another thing. They may not put their faith in you in the same way they put their faith in themselves. They're going to need your logical explanation in order for them to get behind you. They may also have a hard time being honest with their partners because they need to be liked by their partners more than anything. But overall, they're very thoughtful and very considerate of their partners. They're highly detailed. Capricorn risings have Cancer on the descendant. Cancer on the descendant means they're going to be very emotional, empathetic, and intuitive in their relationships. Yes, shockingly, this Saturnian ruled ascendant is going to be very mothering, very doting, very much like deeply care about their partners. You're going to see a very deep, warm, and spiritual side to Capricorn ascendants if you're in a romance with them. They can often be overly emotional. They can be very codependent. They can be a little bit whiny, kind of like they can turn into a little baby sometimes with their partners. They can be emotionally reactive. Despite their cold, calculated, and career oriented nature, usually these people are going to be very much invested emotionally in their partner. They're gonna like really crave building like a home and a family and like starting a personal life, a personal journey with you. Making memories together is really important to them. Another thing is they can be quite emotionally manipulative with their partners. They can be a bit spiteful. Despite being very direct, usually they can be a bit passive aggressive in their relationships. But overall, they really crave a super heartfelt romance and they want true love, and they're very highly empathetic in relationships. Aquarius risings have Leo on the descendant. Despite their aloof and detached nature, usually in their romantic relationships, they're extremely bold, very glamorous, very loyal, and very like, I'm here for you. I'm yours, you are mine. Aquarius can be quite a pessimistic sign, but not in romance. They are ready, they're hot and heavy, they are optimistic, they are just, they're pulling out all the bells and whistles. They can also be very blindly supportive of people once they've like attached themselves to somebody. Because Leo is one of the signs that has maybe the highest standards. They have extremely high standards in relationships, even though they are, very accepting, very open-minded people in relationships. They can be very judgy and very close-minded and very much like, you're not good enough for me. They can be a bit shallow, kind of caring only about the appearance of people sometimes, or like the reputation that the person that they're with gives them, even though Aquarius risings typically are very much like, I don't give a shit about what people think about me. In their relationships, who they're with, they may care very much about how the person they're with makes them look. And while Aquarius risings can tend to be quite objective, Leo is not an objective sign. They take things quite personally. They can be very pushy as well towards their partners. They care so much. They want you to do so well. They're going to push you to succeed. But they do absolutely adore you if they're in a relationship with you. Pisces risings have Virgo on the descendant. Pisces is a highly romantic sign, highly delusional, very poetic, but in relationships, calculated. They are analytical, attentive, very detailed. They have a plan. They have expectations. Because Pisces is very romantic, they have this imagination where that imagination like created an image of what they want a relationship to look like. And a lot of them, if they're not getting it, they're going to be like, no. But some of them will be slaves for you. Virgo is the sign of service, and Pisces is also a sign of service. Even though Pisces is very much like go with the flow in relationships, you're like, this is how it's gonna be. I have a plan. They can be very perfectionist and they can be quite critical of their partners. They're just highly perceptive. They're taking it all in. They're taking it very seriously. They're also very much like no assumptions. Tell me, like communicate. Tell me what's going on. I need to know things in detail. I need to know how to care about you. They become a bit of a mechanic in relationship. Virgo also can be quite controlling. So like, even though these people are very, again, go with the flow, like they can kind of have a tendency to try to control the relationship. So while Pisces is a sign of like, let's just do whatever. Virgo is like, we're going to get this right. We're going to do it correctly. But just know that these people are going to figure you out. Follow me for more astrology fun and relationships. And if you want a reading, link in my bio.